Hey y'all, more specifically, hello to my fellow KFSF. This is your makeup tutorial video. For this season, we are going to be doing a brown, smoky, half-cut crease look with a red lip. I'm gonna show you how to do everything. I am excited, nervous. It's almost 4 o'clock in the morning and I procrastinated because I keep fucking downloading games. It's called like Revenge Time or something like that. Anyway, I'm officially finally doing it. I got my little hightail. I have some snacks and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first, I want to start with a few disclosures. You will find all of like the product list information in a separate Google Doc, or if you're someone random that doesn't belong to KFSF and you're like, I want to learn how to do this makeup, description down below for like products that could be useful. I am also trying to make this as budget friendly as possible with as many little hacks as I can give you, because we are some broke people out here. The economy is not in a great place. So, you know, all of the makeup can be kind of difficult to acquire. So I am using some of my older makeup. I don't necessarily recommend that. But we do what we gotta do, right? I would budget. This is for stage performance makeup where there's going to be lights, okay? That is what we are prepping for, but this is what is to be used every time you perform as a dancer. With that in mind, makeup alone, I budget 2 hours. With that said, the first step to your makeup for performance does actually depend on your skin tone. I am brown. You'll notice that my face is just a little bit lighter than my body, and that is just kind of like a natural thing for me. So I always match my foundation to my body. If you are one of my fair friends, you will be needing to use body makeup. Everyone else can use body makeup too if you'd like, but really the reason for body makeup is because those stage lights will wash you out. And right now I have like 2 box lights up, so my face might look a little bit washed out, but the stage lights will wash you out and make you look a little ghostly, unfortunately. So I am dropping links to the recommended body makeup. I don't personally use body makeup, and for my skin tone, I'm not going to be using body makeup, but I do blend down into wherever like my skin is shown here. Like if I have like a tan line, I do that for sure. So I just wanted to give that disclosure. You're gonna want to match your foundation to your body makeup. So what I would recommend doing is getting the body makeup, and then when you go to get the foundation, I would put some of the body makeup maybe like on my hand or somewhere so that I can match side by side. They usually have testers at most stores like Sephora, Ulta. I like Ulta because there's lots of different price ranges, and that's really, really helpful. You're gonna wanna do a full coverage foundation, but let's go ahead and get started with that. So first things first, as y'all can see, I got some bangs here, so I gotta pull my hair back. Okay, so like I said, the recommendation is to start with body foundation. That means applying your body foundation to anywhere that skin is going to be visible, because you wanna give it time to dry down as you do the rest of your makeup. Like I said, I'm not gonna be personally doing that, so I'm just letting you know kind of what's happening. From there, we can move on to our base. And so what we're going to start is, I like to start with my primer. You can get primers for like lots of different price ranges. Personally, I prefer the Milk Primer. This is really awesome. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. I like to apply this just directly to the skin. This has a pump. Some primers are like a stick. Some primers are a liquid. And then you just wanna make sure that you get it all over your face. Drop, drop, drop. I got some on my nose. And with my clean hands, I'm going to rub that into the skin. Preferably, you have washed your face before this. To prep your skin, you have cleansed, washed your face, and put on some lotion and let that dry down. Primer is important because it helps your foundation and everything grip to your skin. Okay, now that your primer is all set, we can go ahead and start with foundation. I'm gonna be using the Fenty Beauty Soft Matte Longwear Foundation. I've had this for a minute. To be quite frank, I'm not sure if it's the right shade right now, but let's just pretend that it is. Because of my skin tone, because of the sun, my shade fluctuates. I have a winter and a summer foundation. Which one is this? I'm not sure, because on my day-to-day, I don't really wear foundation that much these days. You can apply this a variety of ways. This is a foundation brush I like to use by Morphe. It's the Y7. It's really dense, you'll notice. It's very, very dense. This is one way to apply it. You can also take a booty sponge. You can take your beauty sponge and you can apply it with the bottom end of that. I like to, as well, kind of apply directly to the skin as much as possible. You can always build foundation. So I like to start by dotting. I don't put any on my eyelids. You can apply it to your hand and then press it on if you like. This is my preference. If you're using a beauty sponge, you want to dampen it. You want your beauty sponges to be filled with water so that it doesn't absorb. So here we go. I feel like you guys are all gonna get to know me so much better through this video. I mean, I think it's already pretty apparent in practice that I'm kind of a goofball. I've really been leaning into that a lot more lately. I don't like to apply foundation directly to my sponges because I find that it absorbs it way more. If you feel like there's part of your face that just doesn't have enough coverage, I also like to blend into my ears. Always blend down into your neck. It's okay if you don't get like way too under your eyes because we're going to go in with concealer. Now that it is all blended, the next part of my makeup routine for my base is my concealer. So we're highlighting and concealing with this. Me personally, because of like my shade range, I like to use a combo. Your concealer needs to be lighter than your foundation. If you are a person of color, your concealer does not need to be white. It just needs to be a few shades lighter. I'm gonna start right here and I like to draw small little arrows. I like to get a little bit right there as well. I like to use concealer as a primer for my eyelids. On my eyelids, sometimes I will go a bit lighter because you want color to show up on it. But considering we're doing browns, I think we should actually be good regardless. Well, actually, I don't want to say regardless of the skin tone. But you're not doing like a blue, a pink, so you know we don't have to like have a white base down or something of that sort. I like to put tiny right there, just a little bit on my chin, a little bit on my Cupid's bow. This is just like to draw attention to the highlights, and then carefully, these kinds of concealers are really good for that. Otherwise, you can use a brush like that to draw on if you like, if you have like a pot concealer. And carefully down the center of your nose, just very carefully. We're gonna blend this one last. And then like I said, I have another one because this is really bright and this is a little bit browner, but it's also too brown. But I also really love the consistency of this. This is a Glossier. I recommend this for like everyday use. It's really, really good. I have my little concealer blush. This is what I like to blend in with. I'm just gonna dip in a little bit. Again, you don't have to do two. This is just me showing you what my authentic process is like. I'm gonna start with blending these because I don't want these to set. You can use the end of your beauty blender for this too if you like. I think I might do that for my under eye, but I have this like fluffy concealer blush and I really like it. This is a It Cosmetics concealer blush. And we're just blending. Circular motions. I'm not pressing really hard. It's like a nice light touch. And then I'm gonna try with the beauty blender just so that you can see the difference. You just tap it into your skin. I want some more color under there, honestly. I forgot, that's what I wanted. As you can see, like my under eye looks so much brighter. And then I'm just blending that on the eyelid. I would say a beauty blender is probably the best for when you blend out your nose. The reason I'm letting this set a bit is because I want it to stay, wow, I got an eye buggy. Sometimes that happens, y'all. Use the edge of your nail to take it off. You wanna like, kind of like a rhinestone, honestly. Mind you, trust the process. You're gonna look a little wild. The only thing I will say with a beauty blender, it does give you like a nice airbrushed finished kind of look, which is like the appeal to using a sponge, but it does also absorb product. So a brush will just like move around the product. It absorbs some, but not nearly as much. So you may find that you need to put a little bit more product on because, again, this is stage makeup. So you want those under eyes to be brighter. Just tap. If you were doing it with a brush, I would just say carefully, carefully. You don't want to drag it out and move where it's at. Now, if you like to use a cream contour, this would be the moment to do that. I might actually take a step back and recommend that you had done that before this. We'll see how this goes, and then that's how I will let you know. I don't usually cream contour, but I bought this Threads Face It Multi-Stick. I don't know if you can see that because of the flash, and I really want to use it. So I'm really gonna hope that my concealer doesn't get all settled. Otherwise, I'm gonna go back in with my brush. Learn from my mistakes. Anyway, if you're gonna put like multiple cream products on, and cream is kind of what you wanna do, then you do it before you put on any powder, because cream on top of powder looks whack. Trust me, you're gonna hate yourself. The few times that I did it when I was, you know, just not knowledgeable, I was like, what did you do? You fucked it all up. This sucks. Oh, okay, anyway. As you can see, like already, you can kind of see where like the contouring happens in the face. But the idea is to create angles and dimensions, okay? So that is what we are trying to do, because again, the flash is just gonna like really wash us out and make us look very flat. And we do not want that. So I like to start like right above my ear personally and bring it. Before, people used to bring it low, and that was kind of the trend. The trend now has moved up to bring our cheekbones up higher, and that's kind of what the look looks like. So we're gonna try to bring it like, you're not gonna go all the way down, okay? Just a little bit. A little goes a long way. So I'm gonna go here. Yes. I like to take my contour to my temples. We're gonna blend it, okay? So trust the process. I like to put a little bit under my chin to make my lips look powderier. A little bit under my nose, the side of my nose. Now, if you're like, this is way too advanced for me, feel free to not do this. It just, you know, but if you're like, I love to cream contour, when do I do it? Can I cream contour? I'm trying to get into this, Danny. Teach me, show me. I got you. And then I'm going to do some under the chin. Let's find my jaw. You know, I got a really round face and I'm a thick bitch. We're gonna take the other side of our, we're gonna blend and we're gonna say a prayer, because otherwise I have to start over and I don't wanna do that. So blend, 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 blend. Blending is your best friend right now. Beat it a little harder than normal. Again, gonna look super wild before it looks good. If you're like, Danny, oh my God, that looks super intense. Blend, blend, trust me. Blending is your best friend. Beat the crap out of your face with this beauty blender. Don't be a fool like me, and you should have tested this ahead of time. Actually, I think that this is fine. But for a moment, I was worried. I was like, oh no. Mind you, the color of contour sticks, you do not need to go as deep as I am. I am brown. I need a darker contour. You can probably contour with the color of my skin if you're fair. But, you know, which is the color of most contour. Blend, 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 blend. We are giving our face dimension. I didn't put that much on the forehead because I was going to blend it. Blending, blending, blending. Oh, we're blending, blending, blending. This is from a Adam Sandler movie. Da-da-da. That I think, what the hell is that actor's name? I like him a lot. Oh, why can't I remember? But he's the guy from White Chicks that sings the Making My Way Downtown. I can't sing too much because they might take it down. You can diffuse the edges with the bottom that had the foundation. If you're like, it's kind of harsh, Danny. It's kind of harsh. Blend and drag, especially right here. Blend and drag. And diffuse. Okay, for your nose and your rougher places, and by rougher places, I just mean like, why did I say rougher places? But like narrow, I recommend going in with a brush We're gonna go in with this brush. This guy right here. Small, dense. It's just easier than the sponge. And I'm just going up and down with actually a fairly light pressure. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of concealer on top because I'm right in saying that you should have done the contour first. Not because of the under eyes, but because of like places like the nose. If you decided to contour your nose with a contour stick. Essentially, I'm going up and down. I want to drag it out a little bit too. Blend it out. We don't want to have harsh lines. That's like the biggest thing. Go in with the tip to blend that concealer. And I have like lights up, so like this is kind of the effect you're gonna get on stage. Okay, I stepped away to go in front of a mirror to like blend this a little bit better because I was having a hard time seeing with my lighting. But this, again, trust the process. It looks pretty good. Again, this is the base before you put on any powder. I'm gonna go in real quick with I'm gonna tap. Again, like I said a second ago, I should have done the contour first and the concealer after. And the reason for that is because concealer likes to set in those fine lines. And the reason I'm tapping right now is because I'm trying to disturb that. So as I was trying to say earlier, now you're gonna go in with a setting powder. Please, please, please test ahead of time or look up if your powder that you're using gives flashback. Flashback essentially means that when you have lights up against you, can you see where the powder was sitting? We're going to lightly bake. So I just tapped the product into my sponge. I would say a sponge is the best way to do this. Honestly, it is. A sponge or some kind of applicator for this. A brush, it's okay. Going under my eyes, I'm just tapping it in. I'm gonna put this on the eyelid as well. I like to take my beauty blender and pinch it to get like a really precise line. Get like a nice little line. You can clean that up with your fingers if you want. What I'm going to do with the rest of my face, because I do want to set that powder, so the powder I used is Revlon's Peach baking powder. I like to use this one. I've used a lot of different kinds. This is a really affordable one. It works pretty well for me. I also have their banana powder, and I like to use the banana powder on the rest of my face. I literally just take the powder puff, and I'm gonna dust it away immediately. But I like to put it all over, and then I take, where are you? Where are you? Ah, there you are. I like to take a big old powder brush, big, fluffy, it's not dense at all, okay? Or you could take a kabuki and you just brush it away. Brush it all away. I used to think that I had to set my makeup for hella long, but like now, honestly, I even brush my bake away. You just need to set it. If you're a person who likes to do your eye makeup on first, because you're like, I just get really messy, I get a lot of fallout. Depending on your eyeshadow might have a lot of fallout. I have a trick for not worrying about eyeshadow. I put powder under my eyes, so if there is any fallout, I can wipe it off and not fuck my makeup up. But I prefer to do my eye makeup after I do this stage of my base because I find that it is difficult to put on like foundation around like the perimeter. It just feels very funky. I hate it personally. I personally hate it. I also feel like I can't conceal properly, and I don't like that. It bothers me. But some people are like, that's just not the way that I do things. Do you, boo. I am going to move on to the eyes now. So I'm going to zoom you guys in just a little closer. Come here. Come a little closer. Come a little closer. Come. Oh, there you are. Hello. Now, brows are a step for those who don't already have very thick brows. If you have super thick brows, you might just need like a gel to hold them in place. You might have a brow pencil that you fill in a few little sparse places. That is not the case for me. I have been doing brows since before Brows on Fleek was a thing. If you know what that is, that was like back in 2012 when I was in high school, that was a thing. But I've been doing brows since way before, because when I have, and this is important for performers, when there is flash photography, this, as you can see, you can't really see this part of my brow, but from far away, that is gone and I look wild. At the moment, I like using a brow pencil. You can use whatever you like. The point is you don't want to have blocky brows, but you do want your brows to be there and you want to imitate hair strokes. So having a spoolie is very important. This is the NYX Professional Makeup Micro Brow Pencil. I love this thing. I like to take my brow and I like to comb it in the direction that it goes. I personally, for the purpose of makeup and the purpose of clean lines, and that kind of aesthetic, I like to pluck any like strays, because I do get strays right here. I didn't do that today because I don't do it on a regular basis. I do it for performance makeup though. Essentially, I'm gonna take this brow pencil and I like to start with hair strokes going upwards. I don't know that I'm gonna talk much during this. You might just see it. Hair strokes. Nice thick hair strokes. And then I like to take the bottom and lightly, just kind of lightly outline that. I don't outline the top. It's okay if it's not perfect, because like I said, we're gonna clean this up. But just the bottom end of my brow and connect it lightly to the end of your brow. And then I take those strokes and I build them from that line that I created, just to kind of have like this is the bottom of my brow place for the purpose of cleaning it up in a moment. Now, if it looks like really harsh at first, that's what the spoolie's for. We are gonna go back in with the spoolie. I don't like to go from here. It is nice to have those little natural strokes in the center. We don't want block brows. And so we're gonna diffuse this in a sec, so don't worry, because they are looking a little blocky at the end and I am not loving that. But we're gonna diffuse it in a moment. But I do like to take from like the where my hairs start to curve towards the back. If your hairs do that, everybody's brow is different, so follow your brow shape. Embrace your brow shape. Love your brow shape. Love thyself. Try to just draw a line carefully, lightly. I don't want it to be a blocky brow, but this is just to help me guide my shape towards the back. Again, I'm not gonna fill this in like a Sharpie. It's just meant for me to know where my hair strokes are coming from. And from here, I just stroke. Just imitate hair strokes with a brow pencil. If you're using a pomade, you're gonna wanna use an angled brush like this. I would even say thinner than this if possible, to apply everything in. I highly recommend one of these because you can really get like those hair-like strokes and you just fill in where you have gaps. I have a lot of them. I am back. Both of my brows have been filled in the way you saw me fill in the other one. I like to take my spoolie and now I'm going to lightly comb through it to kind of like diffuse the harshness and the darkness that you kind of see. You still want them to be dark, so really like don't go in hard, just lightly. We're just trying to blur the lines of where, I would say especially lightly in the front, because if you did those hair strokes, you want the hair strokes to remain a bit. And then maybe a little bit more towards the back so that it doesn't look like marker drawn or anything of that sort. Be careful along the edges. You don't want to completely remove the lines that you drew to like help shade it. If you want to go with a brow gel, I would recommend a tinted one that isn't too over pigmented. Or I would go in with a clear gel, but just make sure it's not gonna be a clear gel that removes, because sometimes some clear gels will remove. And what I do recommend at this point to get like that really crisp makeup look, you're gonna go in with a flat concealer brush. She is thin, she is flat. I'm just tapping in ever so lightly. I'm gonna take that brush and I'm not going directly in like this. I'm kind of going at an angle, like that. And I'm going to start at the bottom. That line that we drew, I'm following that carefully. I have a very shaky hand, so slow and steady wins the race. Take it all the way out. Go further than the line, as you can see. Do not go to the center. You're gonna end up with a block brow. I like to start, again, same place that I started before, and I'm not going as close for this. It's just to clean up that shape and any like smudges that may have come out. And you want to connect that line. I just like to drag the product down. And because it's such little product, I don't set it. I don't set it. I just drag it down. I go to where the product is and I pull it down. And I'm going to do this for both sides. It also like serves to like highlight. I like to tap it in a little bit sometimes. Careful. You want to pull outwards. Especially on the top, because you don't have concealer above your brow, but you did have some on. So you want to be careful. I like to go back and forth right here. I hope that you were able to see that, because I am looking in my mirror and I forgot that I have you guys right here. Do you see what I mean? Do you see how much like cleaner that is? I don't like the way that that's pointed. And you can fix that. See? Boom. Oof. 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 Look at those hair strokes / fake hair strokes. That looks good. I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side and we will be right back. All right, so there are my brows. They look nice and clean. If you're running low on time because you just realized you didn't budget appropriately, you're getting used to kind of, I would say that you could skip the concealer step, but I think it's a really good one to make sure that you look like really sharp and good for your pictures and all that jazz, and that your brows look very like where they are, but also not like super blocky or whatever. Anyway, we are going to move on to the Smokey look. Blending is your best friend. Blending is your best friend. You want to have multiple different kinds of, when I say tapered fluffy brushes, this is what I mean. These are all kind of the same size. I definitely have multiple sizes, but these are kind of the same size. You want to have multiple of them in different sizes to do this. I'm going to go in with my translucent powder and I want to get like a good chunk. I'm actually just going to go in with the little fluff that they have here, because I want to get a good chunk underneath my eyelid. And this is to catch fallout. The purpose of what I'm doing right now is solely to catch fallout. I'm not pressing it in. I am dabbing it on. Very light dab. Because I want it to sit on top of the skin, not sink into the skin. This is a technique I use. It looks really intense right now. Again, do not press, lightly dab, because you want to be able to brush it off, like completely off. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I like to start with a neutral base so that my eyeshadow has something to blend on top of. So I'm using, this is an old palette of mine. It's California Love by ColourPop. I am going in with this shade right here. For me, that is a good nude. You can go paler if you are more fair-skinned. You can go a little bit darker if your skin is darker. The idea is that I want a color that is similar, I would say, to like my concealer Also like more on the like neutral end. You don't want something warm because colors are supposed to go on top of it and blend. Always tap the excess off, okay? Because you can always add, but you can't remove. And I'm just going to take my brush, this is probably one of the bigger brushes I have. And just, I'm gonna run it across my entire lid. I'm just setting a base. You don't need a lot. And as you can see, it looks like I haven't put shit on. But if you look, it like also looks smoother. Do that to both eyes. There we go, boom. Very easy. All right, so we are going to build our shades. This is what it is all about. To get that very smoky look, you have to use multiple tones of brown, okay? The pigment of your skin does matter. If your skin is, I would say, darker than mine, you might need to start darker than me, okay? If your skin is lighter than mine, you can start lighter than me. But what we're going to do is we're gonna start with the first initial brown. I'm using my Too Faced, I'm using two different palettes, but I would suggest just getting like a palette that has, and the reason I am is because this one mostly has warm tone colors, and this isn't, it's more of like a neutral warm kind of look, and this is just too orangey. Like this palette is just too orangey. So I have some tones in here. They're a little bit more on the neutral side. So I'm going to go in with just a shade darker that's not appearing as dark as it is like in person. On the camera it looks a little bit lighter. I'm gonna go in with this fluffy, this is one of my bigger fluffy tapered brushes. I'm going to put this color all along the top part of my brow bone. I'm not going underneath. I'm going up top. I'm not going as high as my brow, but I'm getting close to it. Going in with this shade that's a little bit darker. I'm gonna pick up the tone, dust off the excess. You see that? I don't know if you can see that on there, but I can see it from here. And now I am going to look down here. I'm gonna try to remain here. And I'm just going, do you see how that color is coming on? It's warm, it's pretty. I'm going back and forth, high up, but not all the way up. Light pressure. You really don't need a lot. Okay, so I went ahead and did the other eye. I actually picked up this tone right here. It's a little bit warmer because that other one was just a little bit too cool for me. So I just went ahead and put it on top. And that's why it looks just a little bit more warm now, because the back of this look has, the forward brown is a cool tone brown, but the layers beneath are warm. So that is something to keep in mind. This is a warm tone, very light brown. Okay, so from here, we're gonna go ahead and build the color. So I'm gonna use this fluffy brush. The one that I had used was this one. This is just a little bit thinner. It's a little sparse. Something like this would be good too. You just want it to be slightly smaller. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not gonna go as high, but I'm not gonna go lower. We wanna try to stay away from like the actual lid space. We are gonna go right below, not as high again, a little bit more concentrated towards our crease. I'm gonna go in with, you'll notice this is shimmery. Please don't do a shimmery. I'm just doing the shimmer because that's what I have right now. This doesn't really come off very shimmery, to be quite frank. I'm using it for the color. Tap off the excess. I want a little bit more warmth before I go in cool. I'm gonna bring this shade into the crease. You see how that's like adding on dimension? The reason we use different brushes is because we need to be able to go back and blend. So that's a little bit harsh. I'm gonna grab my former blush, and with the color that I just had, I go and I blend those edges. It's also best to use clean brushes. Use clean brushes. I washed all of my brushes this morning for the purpose of this video. Okay, I went ahead and blended out both. From here, now we're gonna go into the deeper color. Turns out I could use this palette alone. So now I'm gonna go in with my cool tone, darker brown. I'm gonna go in with this one. I'm gonna go in with this brush It is a tapered blush, but it's a little flatter, you'll notice. And that's because I want to get in as close as possible. I'm gonna use something else to blend, but I'm gonna use this kind of brush to apply. This is an Eco Tools brush. They have a lot of double-ended brushes. Eco Tools is a really good, affordable brand. So is Real Techniques. Real Techniques, really good, affordable. A little bit pricier, but still on the affordable end is Morphe brushes, and those are really good as well. But I'm gonna go ahead, take a little bit, and tap off the excess. Just a little bit, because with the darkest color, you wanna be able, again, you can always add, you can't remove. So with this color, I'm gonna take it into the deepest parts of my crease, but I'm also going to bring it in, not all the way all over, but just like, I would say like a third of the way, halfway in. We're gonna go about halfway in. I like to I can see where my crease is. Just applying with this. It's gonna look a little bit wild to start. Now this looks wild. Give it a second. I don't like this brush to blend with, but I'm just like applying it. I'm gonna go ahead and switch brushes. I'm going into that more narrow brush that I said I was gonna use. I'm gonna pick a little bit up, and now comes the blending. Again, patience. I wanna bring that all the way in. We're going to cut the crease in a bit, so don't worry about it too much. Okay, I just wanna note really quickly that I'm going in back and forth with this, with all of the brushes. I have been blending with the previous one that had the middle tone, and then I've been going all the way up and around with this one, and now I'm going back with the brush that I was blending the dark color with to really make sure that it's still present and that it's where I want it. Okay, and as you can see, there is like a diffused color that goes from light to warm to dark, okay? That's kind of the idea of what we want. All right, another thing I wanna note while I'm cleaning this up, this look, some eyeshadow looks are angular and they're very like pointed out. This one is more rounded. As I'm doing makeup, I have a tendency for like things to just settle in that way. And so going in with that fluffy brush that you did that top color with to just diffuse those edges really helps round it out. So I've been kind of doing that, especially with that dark color. That dark color is gonna try to make it very angular, but I'm just going in around the edges right here just to make it more circular. So now what we're gonna do is you remember that brush that we used earlier for our brows? We're gonna use that same brush. I like this one. This is the Morphe M432. I love this brush. And the reason I love this brush is because it's really easy to draw lines with. This is a soft cut crease. If you don't have time, just make sure that you leave a blank space here. But as you can see, some fallout has already gotten into this space, so it's gonna mix. And I want that inner corner lid to pop, and it looks like a half cut crease, what they do. So I'm not gonna take it from like down and draw it up. I'm actually gonna take it from here and draw about half. I would say I'm gonna draw like a third of the way, and then I'll like blend out the rest in the half, because if you draw half, you're blending out further. So draw a third of the way, and then you're going to blend. I'm going to take my concealer that I'm totally running out of, and I need to get a new one. You can honestly do this while you're looking forward into a mirror, because you can see where your crease is. Don't go at your crease, go slightly, so don't go at this line, go slightly above it, okay? Because you want the crease to be seen. So I'm gonna start like that. You see how it like disappeared? I don't want that. That looks, you see that? That looks whack. That looks whack. So I need to bring it up higher, just a little bit. Everybody's cut crease is a little bit different because everybody's lid shape is different. it's really important to pay attention to where your eyelid naturally creases. You want to go above that crease. You don't actually want to go under it, and you don't want to go in it, because if you go in the crease, when you close your eyes, you're going to end up with it above anyway. So, and it's going to mess up your makeup. So from there, essentially, I'm just going to drag it down, drag it out. I might have gone just a little bit too high, honestly. I can fix that. And I think we're gonna problem solve together. I'm gonna go a little bit lower on the other side. The hard part was I filmed this. Honestly, I think that's what really like threw me, if I'm being honest. You want it to be, you see how it's kind of like fading towards the end? That's what I want. The look calls for a shimmer, and the shimmer is more of a champagne tone. It's not a gold. So I'm going to go in with a color like this. I'm going to use a flat eyeshadow brush. This is when these are actually used. These are good for applying color. That is what they are for. They are good for shimmers. I want to recommend that you take your setting spray, whatever it may be, or a kind of spray, and I want you to wet your brush and then go directly in the pan. Because when you wet your brush, the color is more potent. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to press that onto my lid. And now I said I went up too high. I'm going to fix it. So I will show you how to fix it. But now there's like this harshness. You're going to go back in with that dark brown color that you had, and you're going to blend towards this. You want to blend these together, and you're just going to go back and forth because you don't want a harsh line. And so now the way that I'm going to fix my error, I'm going to go against the line, and that's going to, so like I said, I would just bring it a little lower. I went up a little bit too high. I'm going to correct that on this side, so it's going to look a little wonky, and just bear with me. Just bear with me, please. There we go. That's a good way, but you definitely want to apply more pressure when you're doing that, because you want it to be very concentrated on where you want this color to appear. There you go. And as you can see, that's already looking so much more blended. I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye off camera just so I could focus on getting that line right so that you can see what it's supposed to look like. Really quick, this is what I meant to do. Do you see the difference? Do you see how this is a little bit more curved? I was having just a hard time staying in here and looking, and so I accidentally curved it. This is a little bit straighter. Rather than like doing a circle, I kind of started at a point and went upwards and then went inwards. And then I had very little concealer on my brush, and that really helped. That really helped. And you'll notice it's also a little bit closer. I adjusted a lot of this with that brown on top, but this eye is gonna look better. And I just wanted you guys to know what I did there. Our eyes, here they are. And now comes the moment that we finally brush this powder off carefully. I just want you to see how I do it. Very light pressure, because it just sat on top. Remember that. You didn't press it into the skin, and you're not trying to press it into the skin. You're sweeping it off, and it's gone. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and continue. I wanna go into our under eye. We're gonna take the two darker browns, that medium tone and that dark brown, to build our under eye. Usually I would wanna go in first with a brush like this, but I use this for something else, and all of my other brushes like that I think are just a little bit too thick for this, so that's my bad. I would say let's try to preserve a brush like this for it, but this will do. This will do. Just make sure you use light pressures. I'm gonna go in with this shade and then this shade, but I'm gonna start with this shade. Okay, very, very, very light. I'm gonna run this underneath the entire lash line lightly. Start very lightly, because we don't want something super dark. You want to make sure that you blend too. Connect it right here at the end, bring it all the way in and underneath, and just sweep it back and forth. If you want to do little circular motions, small little circles is a really great way to blend. So this is one of those double-ended brushes. This is a very small, dense, flat. This is what I mean by flat, like it's thin on one side. So we're gonna use that and we're gonna go in with our dark color. We're going to run this, I packed it a little bit. We're going to run this really close to the lash line. But also like be careful because you might get a little eyeshadow in your eye and it is not a pleasant feeling, but it happens, you'll be fine. So I'm gonna go, I am like right on my lashes. I think I wanna go in with a little bit more. Remember that you can build. And I'm just running that back and forth. I just wanna place the color there. It's a little bit harsh, going in with that other one and blending it out. Moving on. Now that we've done both sides, as you can see, there is some dimension. It's gonna look better when everything else is on. We're gonna go ahead and tightline and do eyeliner in our waterline. A black eyeliner. If you don't wanna like disturb your makeup, you can take your beauty sponge and literally do this. But you're just gonna go here. And then for your tight line, you can, if you bring your pencil to your eyelash, ooh, that's weird. I don't know, you know where that line is. You don't touch your eyeball, but you get pretty close. It tickles. It does tickle. That's normal. All right, so now we're going to move on to our liquid eyeliner. I tend to have a shaky hand in general when it comes to fine lines and things like this. This is not my forte, but I have a really good hack for how to do this. I will say that the way you draw on your eyeliner is influenced by your eye shape. This is the eye shape I have. This is the one that I'm used to. But you just want to be mindful of where your eyes crease. It also, like, age is a real thing because the way that our eyes sit and our eyelids sit changes. A trick that I keep on deck is micellar water. I like the Garnier micellar water. It's very affordable. They sell it in travel packs. And Q-tips. Q-tips are gonna be your best friend. Look forward and up when you do your wing. If you're taking the wing up high, this is just a general tip, you wanna look forward because if you have a crease anywhere, you wanna be mindful of the crease because if you just do your entire wing with your lid flat like this, as I'm tilting it as if the mirror were looking down, right? You're the mirror and I'm looking down now because I tilted my head back. Then when I look forward, it's not gonna sit the same because my eyelid droops in that section. You wanna start as close to your lash as possible and you can build from there. So I like to usually start kind of in the middle, to be honest. Start very close to the eyelid. It is not a thick eyeliner. This look calls for a small wing. It's not a long wing. The wing is not something that's super prominent, but I am still going to, you always want to angle towards the end of your brow, from the corner of my brow, and I am going to bring it up just a little. So this is a short wing, and I'm going to angle it down like a triangle. You're drawing a triangle, okay? Nice little triangle. And then I like to fill in the gap. I would say that this is a fine wing. I would even say you could go a little bit thinner. I have very small lid space, so that also depends. Like, because I have very small lid space, my eyeliner always looks big on my eyes unless I do super pencil thin. Now, mind you, this eyeliner comes in. And this is the part that I struggle with. This is where you're gonna have your Q-tip ready. But the idea is that you're going to continue the line. Trust the process. I can clean this up with micellar water if it gets, like, I've definitely smudged pretty bad when I've done this look. Thankfully, I've done this a few times now, and I've always been able to clean it up. But I'm bringing the eyeliner in to connect. Yes, I did it. I don't even know if I have to clean that up. I think that's pretty good, honestly. I might clean it up. This side is just better. It's just better. You know what it is? I accidentally curved this on the way in, and this one just comes straight down, and it just looks better. This side just looks better. What you would do with the micellar water is just get a little bit on there and just clean up your edges. Slightly dab, because it removes makeup really well. There we go. That is our eyeliner. I did it. I did it. But essentially you would just go in with your Q-tip and clean it up carefully. Carefully, slow and patient. Slow and steady wins the race, okay? I just want to touch base. If you didn't do the contour and you just did foundation and concealer, this is where the rest of it comes in. I actually like to do both sometimes because I feel like it just gives my face way more dimension, just kind of like how eyeshadow does. So right now I like to do this before my mascara and my eyelashes because I hate getting powder on my eyelashes or mascara. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in with a bronzer. Bronzer is usually more warm tone. It's meant to give warmth to the face. I'm gonna go in with my bronzer brush. I have a very big old fluffy brush. A little bit goes a long way. I like this bronzer. They do not have good shade range. They do not have good shade range. For the longest time, they did not have my shade. If you are a person of color with like brown, deeper skin tones, or even I would say my skin tones, bronzer is really hard to find. So that might be the place where you need to do an investment, to be quite frank. And contour is as well. A lot of brands don't make it in our shades. Some do, and that's especially like that's where contour sticks really come in handy because there is more range in that than there is the powders. I really like the powders too. That's just my spiel. I like to go in with my brush, tap off the excess. Where I put this before, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm not going under the chin for this part. Your bronzer you apply to the surrounding areas because it's going to warm up your face. So I'm gonna go in, and I like to go up towards my ears opposed to down towards my face. It's just, I start kind of like in the middle and I go up and I drag it up. I want to also provide you with a trick. If for whatever reason you ever go too hard and you're like, crap, that was too much product, take that powder brush and sweep it off, blend it out, okay? Like kind of how we did with that setting powder. Now I'm gonna take my bronzer and I'm going around the perimeter of my face right here, warm up my temples. So now I like to go, you can leave it at that if that's kind of like what you have. I want to be mindful of people's wallets, but if you have an additional, like if you did your stick contour, you're probably fine. But if you have an additional contour powder, you go in with a more, where are you? I know you're here somewhere. Found it. Again, disclosure, how much contouring and bronzer you're doing is really your preference and what you have. You can get away without doing the cream contour. If you like doing the cream contour, you can do the cream contour, and then you don't really have to go in too much with this contour, especially since like my nose is already contoured. I really like to add more depth. You bronze first and then you contour if you're doing powder, okay? So my bronzer was warm, my contour should be cool toned, okay? This is an old one that I have. Depending on your bronzer, you might not need to go in as hard. This one just doesn't pick up a lot of product, so that's kind of why I do that. This, with your contour, if you're doing a powder contour, you want to make sure that you don't go in as deep. It's really like a lot less. Be careful that you don't end up looking muddy. Again, you can always like blend the way that you blended with the other. The reason I recommend contouring and bronzing is because stage makeup, the lights really wash you out. We're gonna take that contour, we're gonna go where we were on our temples, but we're not gonna come down as much. We're keeping it really close to the hairline. Why? Because we are doing dimension. I also like to take a little bit, again, I like to cut my lips and just go underneath and go under the nose. A contour-ish powder is what you take under your jaw. You don't want a warm color under here, you want a cool tone color because you're creating shadows. I also like to go under my double chin. And the way I like to blend it is you know how like you have this part of your throat and there's like someone could, if someone's big choking you, someone's little choking you. I like to bring it down that way. It really, it adds dimension to my neck. And then I always go in with this for the neck. This is my powder brush. It's just a blend because I don't want a harsh line. I also want to mention that if your cleavage is showing, I like to contour my breasts. And so like, let's say this is the boob and this is where the cleavage is. I take the bronzer and I shape out that curve on both sides, okay? And I really, like, I blend it. And I like to put blush like on the titty a little bit too. Excuse my French. And highlighter. So that's definitely something I personally recommend. I think it makes makes your cleavage look really nice, honestly. The blush used for this look is more of a, as you can see, this isn't like a red, it's like a rust. It's like a rust kind of color. I have a hard time sometimes with this blush in particular, this formula, but this is the color. This is the color. This color appears very similar to just kind of like a more rust. Not a red, it's not a red. It's more of like a rust type blush. So I'm gonna go in, I usually like to use this one, but I like to use pink blush. So I saved this for my pink blush. This is a good blush brush though. It's just like this kind of slightly found out taper brush. It's like, I would say like the denseness is not as intense as a foundation brush, but not intense as a powder brush. I'd say it's similar to a bronzer. But I'm gonna take the blush. I'm gonna start with this because I'm not sure if it's gonna show up very well. But this is a color Pop Super Shock Cheek in Too Cool for School. This one has a hard time picking up, so I'm going in kind of like heavy, but usually blushes pick up really easily and you can just go lightly and then you can build them because you don't want them to be too intense. I like to start in the apples and I like to bring it up. The look itself, the blush is very, very subtle. So you're just using a little bit and you're just bringing it into the apples and the apples of your cheek. You don't want to go too low. You're bringing it from the apples of your cheek, kind of where that, right there, right here, up towards your bronzer, lightly into your bronzer. I need to go in with the other one because I don't feel like that did anything, to be quite frank. So I'm gonna go in with this one. This should pick up. We're gonna build it. That's what we're gonna worry about. Tap it in light. Oh, that's beautiful. There we go. The blush is not the star of the show. Neither is highlight. There's really not a lot of highlight in this look. But of course you wanna give yourself a bit of blush because the stage lights are going to wash it out. Yeah, this is e.l.f. Putty Blush in Bali. This is good. Get this. I think it's like less than $10. If you already have a color like this, cool, do that. But this like rust, it's perfect. I swear it looks just like the picture in my opinion. Personally, I like to take a little blush and do this because I feel like it gives the nose warmth too. You see that? Boom. And it makes the highlighter pop just a little bit more. But for this look, don't use it. If you're gonna do that, just give it like 2 swipes and you're good. We're gonna go in with a highlight. Really, it's just like a nose highlight, to be honest. There's no cheekbone highlight in this image. I look at the picture for Gato too. I'm not seeing a cheekbone highlight. There is a nose highlight though, so you're gonna wanna go in with a pointed brush. Something like this. Something like this. It's pretty rounded, tapered, very, very thin. Spray your brush. You want, just like the shimmer on the eyelid, you want your highlight to pop, and the nose highlight on this pops. I'm going in with, I have this like old Tarte, like champagne tone. It's very worn down, okay? But this is like, I don't feel like going through all of my palettes, so I'm gonna do this. And this honestly is a really good one. I don't think they sell it anymore though, so, you know, but just, you can go in, honestly, you could probably go in, if you don't have highlight, look at the shimmers in your eyeshadow. I use eyeshadow as highlight sometimes, and it works really, really well. To get on my brush, I'm gonna go on the tip of my nose. Now, you're going to feel inclined to put it literally where your nose bends. Don't do that. Put it right above, because that's actually where it's supposed to go. Right above. Tap it on. I like to diffuse the edges with my fingers, because sometimes I'll have, like right now, I have too much product on my nose, to be honest. Look at my nose highlight. Look at my, do you see how shiny my nose is? That's cute. Our base is done. Our base is fully done. You can wait to spray, or you can spray now, your setting spray. Because setting spray, what setting spray is setting is the powders. It does nothing for your lipstick. It does nothing for your eyelashes. You can spray now. This is the One Size Fits All, or One Size brand by Patrick Starr. And it is the mattifying waterproof setting spray. This shit is good for performances. This is good for performances. Highly recommend on the investment on this. You can also Google other like setting sprays that will hold, but this like holds really well through sweat. And I just like, this, they have a travel size. I think this cost me 50 bucks, honestly. It's worth it though, honestly, in my opinion. Let's finish up. We have 3 steps left. Mascara. It does not matter what kind of mascara. Genuinely does not matter. It does not matter, because we're putting on lashes. The only reason we put on mascara is to blend. Everyone has their own process for how they like to do their mascara and their lashes. I like to do mascara first and then lashes. Why? Because if I do my lashes and then mascara, I reduce the amount of times that I can reuse those lashes. And makeup is expensive. Some people prefer to do it the other way, but I also feel like you disrupt the shape of those lashes, and you got them for their shape, right? So I like to do mascara first so that they blend. So I do not use an eyelash curler. That is because when I put on mascara, my lashes hold the curl. Enough of a curl for lashes. However, everyone has different lash curl ability. Everyone's lashes grow in different ways. Some people's lashes grow straight down. Like I, just by luck. It was the 50-50 chance in my family. All of my brothers, lashes straight down. I got my mom's lashes. I don't have the longest lashes in the world. Never have. But the point is, you may or may not need an eyelash curler. If your lashes go straight down or they don't hold a curl without a curler, please do a curler. Some people like to curl with the lash on. Because I don't use a curler, I don't know that experience. Like, so I don't know that I would recommend that. I kind of think I would recommend curl your lash first, put this on, and then put the lash on, but just keep in mind, it might be a little bit difficult. Some people like to use tweezers for your lashes. I literally just use my fingers. I'm very used to it. I can also do your lashes if you need me to at any point if we're performing together. I tend to be the person to put on everybody's lashes, and I'm cool with that. If you mess up and accidentally smudge it, do not wipe it. Let it dry first. You can just flake it off. I would like to reiterate that you do not need to do more than 1 coat of mascara on your eyelashes. On the bottom though, you do want them to get kind of like thick. Everyone has their own eyelash preference. Do get something kind of dramatic, but they don't need to be over the top. Like, you want your eyeshadow to be seen. I have a preference for eyelashes that are a little bit smaller on the inside and bigger on the outside so that you still get that dramatic look, especially since this is like a cat eye kind of look. But you can still see your makeup. So for that reason, I like the Faux Minx Ardell's. What number are they? Ardell's 811. These are nice. I like to get them in the pack. So as you can see, they're like a little bit thinner on the inside and bigger on the outside. Trim your lashes. Trim your lashes. Trim your lashes. It's going to bother you. They're not going to stay on right. I have been doing lashes for years and years and years and years. So at this point, I kind of know, generally speaking, how long my lash needs to be, but I did trim. I trimmed off the end right here, but before I put glue on it, I like to make sure it fits by laying it kind of around where I would lay it. And this has like a slight adhesive on it. Do not trust the adhesive on the lash. It's not enough. You need a glue. You need a glue. You need a glue. You need a glue. But anyway, I put this on, and what I don't want is that's beautiful. I don't want the pokey feel in the inside of my inner corner. That is what often happens when you don't trim it. You'll feel a pokey feel on the inside or on the outside, and it's really uncomfortable. I'm gonna take these off. I'm gonna go ahead and apply some glue. I highly recommend. This is Duo. It's their like little green bottle. A little bit goes a long way. You wanna put it along the lash band. Something that is important to know as you're doing your lashes is that you do not glue and immediately put it on. You need to let it dry for a second so that it gets tacky and it will stick. Otherwise, if you try to put it on immediately, you'll notice it slips and slides and doesn't really want to grip. And that is because the glue is not ready. It's wet and it's not really gonna stick too much right now. So you wanna make sure that you let it get tacky. That is the amount of glue I have on across, okay? Some people like to do this with tweezers. I don't. I like to do it with my fingers, but I like to shake it around a little bit. Just let it get tacky. And you'll know because like the color will change a little bit. It gets clear. You don't have to wait for it to get clear. Just like hold for a moment. So as you can see, it's getting clear. Like it's not as blue. I think this is a good place to put it on. I like to take, the way that I like to apply my lashes is I grab it from the lash itself in the center, okay? I grab it from the center and I like to set it off right on, I like drop it off, okay? I set it right on top of my lashes and then I take one end and I bring it down and I push it onto my skin. And then I take the other end and I bring it down to my lash and I push it. There we go. I like to take my fingertip and press those edges. I like to fix my eyelash mistakes with eyeliner. I did mess up my eyeliner. Just go back in. Draw over it. Carefully, but draw over it. I might actually go with something a little bit more dramatic, to be quite frank. I think this is fine, but I think you can do a bigger lash or something just a little bit more dramatic. Boom, lashes on. Honestly, I would use something a little bit more dramatic than this. I underestimated how long these were gonna be. They give a really cute effect, but I have other lashes. I just didn't feel like these would be appropriate. These are the 811s that I used. They need to be more dramatic. Maybe something more dramatic in the sense, like, do you see how those are way more fluffy? I still like the idea of thinner in the inside, bigger on the outside, but maybe more dramatic than these, honestly. The last thing that we are going to do is our lipstick. Now, mind you, I think lip liner is optional. I don't think everybody needs it. per se. It depends on like how good you are with a liquid lipstick. I would recommend a matte liquid lipstick that does not transfer, because you don't want it, your hair, no gloss, because you don't want your hair to get stuck in it and then you have like a strand of hair across, like, or for your hair to get stuck and then just stain your face, or for you to touch and like, Go with something matte that dries down. The lipstick that I'm seeing that Karel use is a cool tone red. So I don't know how important that is, like if it needs to be warm tone or cool tone, but the red that I'm seeing in the photo is a cool tone red. I think of a red for the summer opposed to like a winter summer. So this is the red that I'm gonna do. You can lip line first if you like. I like to overline my lips just slightly. I'm not going way above the way that you see some people online. When I say overline, I just think it looks better in my opinion. I mean that I draw an outline right along my lips. But I don't use lip liner. But if you're gonna use lip liner, that's where you would set it. I also like to usually blend my lip liner into my lip just a little bit. So I'll draw the liner and then I'll blend it in just a little bit so that it's not such a harsh line, so that it blends, so it's not like line, okay? But I am very confident with my lipstick skills because it's like the thing that I'm the best at. My lips are my favorite. But this is what I would do with a lip liner, essentially. I'm just gonna draw a line. I like to start at the end. And now I'm gonna draw the line above. I like to start at the corner again. I find that applying pressure helps me have a steady hand. Like I said, your nail, the edge of your nail is gonna be your best friend. And I'm gonna fill it in. I would recommend exfoliating your lips and putting on a balm way in the beginning. I didn't do any of that. So I'm gonna deal with the consequences. I don't want to take it off. I am feeling myself. This is your performance makeup. I still got it. I still got it. I still got it. It's they, them. It's always they, them. The makeup don't change that. It's they, them. Voila. So that's the look. If you guys have any questions, this is a point where I like to spray again. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please reach out. Damn! If I'm not looking here, it's because I'm obsessed with myself. I really am right now. Like, just, I need some hoops. I need a fit. Oh, I'm so mad. I'm taking this off. No, I don't want to take it off. Oh, I just want a little mustache. That's all I'm missing. I'm missing my little mustache, but that's cute. All right, thank you so much. Goodbye, y'all.